Hollins. I'm the senior captain here for Southern Oregon University for the men's basketball team. I'm 29 years old.
Why are you playing college basketball at 29 years old?
It's a difficult question. I was 21 years old. I came out here to visit a friend, got invited to a party here at Southern Oregon University. One thing led to another. There were some people that wasn't too excited that I was there. A little brawl broke out, and in that brawl I stabbed 2 people.
One of the stabbing victims required 2 surgeries and spent 9 days in the hospital. He told the Oregonian his injuries were life-threatening. The other victim's injuries were less severe. He was treated and released. Hollins eventually pleaded guilty to 2 counts of third-degree assault and received a sentence of nearly 6 years in prison. Hollins was serving in the Marine Corps Reserve at the time of the incident. The Marines performed their own investigation and determined Hollins' actions were self-defense and did not pursue further discipline.
This is about where the conversation was happening when I really did try to de-escalate it right here. The fight kind of spilled out.
Hollins acknowledges throwing the first punch, but he was outnumbered, and he says he was being called racist slurs. He ended up at the bottom of a dog pile. He says someone was kicking him in the head, and he worried he would pass out. That's when he pulled out a utility knife and stabbed the 2 men. He says he only had the knife with him because he had been unboxing furniture earlier in the day. Hollins says not walking away from the fight was the worst decision he's ever made.
This is now going on 8 years. Wow. 8 years since then. It kind of still feels like it was only a few years ago, to be honest. It could have been so much worse. You know, that's my biggest thing, is like, it could have been so much worse. Like, remember what we talked about yesterday. What type of team do we want to be? You know what I'm saying? The team that we can be, this shouldn't be a game. You know, this shouldn't be a game. That's why we went out there and handled business the way we did. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. Honestly, before prison, basketball wasn't that big of a role. I loved it, but it was more just a hobby. Even in high school, I was never really committed to the game. I just played it because I was an athlete, so it came natural for me. When I got placed inside of prison, I definitely needed something to kind of hold on to in there. And basketball is what kept me out of a lot of trouble, and it really kept me focused on what I wanted to do coming home.
Hollins played a season of junior college basketball in California between his arrest and entering prison. He didn't want to give up on his hoops dream. Maybe he could still play when he got out. He started contacting coaches the only way he could, with handwritten letters. I
started writing letters to coaches in early 2019. I had nothing better to do anyways. So I might as well use my time to try to find some type of opportunities when I come home. And so for me, it was, what's the worst that can happen? I can just not get a reply. But what's the best that can happen? You know, I can make some lifelong connections.
We get mail all the time. Just opened up a letter, and it was Brett explaining kind of his situation, his desire to play when he were to be released, a little bit of his backstory. It was just neat to hear like the passion, you know, the remorse. He admitted he'd made some mistakes, gotten some tough times, was paying his dues, and then his desire to kind of further his basketball career when he got out. I felt like he was so honest and sincere, he deserved a handwritten letter back. And I just said, hey, here's kind of where you stand with us. You'd always be welcome to come and work out with our guys in the spring, over the summer, if you're in our area, and if I can help you in any way. And kind of left it at that.
Once the letters started coming in, it was honestly almost daily. And I would tape them on the bunk above me. And every morning, that's what I would wake up and see, instead of seeing a gray, flat piece of metal, you know, that had no color, no excitement. All the letters in the envelopes had the school color on them. So it provided a little bit of color to my life and a little bit of excitement. And so when my alarm would go off, it gave me a little bit more energy to get up and get out of bed and get going. If these coaches were willing to respond to me while I was incarcerated, I knew that I would be able to, even if it didn't work out with them, I knew I would be able to find coaches that would hear me in person. I started feeling confident that I could make this happen coming home.
I think there's a lot of ways that, basketball is able to transform guys' lives, bringing a lot of people from diverse backgrounds and different demographics together on a team working for a common goal. And I think as far as changing trajectories go, we got Brett at an interesting time when, he had already moved his trajectory upward. So I wasn't the guy that turned it around by any means. But I do think, there's places where we try to take that to the next level and be like, okay, we're out of that place. How do we go to a really even better spot? I think where it is unique with Brett is that he helps us with our younger guys. I mean, some of our guys grew up pretty privileged, never spent time with a felon. And, maybe that helps show them, man, people change. And that, some people's life stories are pretty hard. And, I think it's kind of the beauty of the whole thing is, Brett giving to the guys and the guys giving back to Brett and, the university making it possible to do this and be part of all this.
Returning to Ashland and Southern Oregon University brought things full circle for Hollins. Even with reminders of the night that derailed his life 8 years ago all around him, he says it has been the best place for his post-prison chapter.
This is so much bigger than just that night. Originally, my mom was like, why would we go back there? Why would we? She was kind of just affirming what I already felt. I didn't want to come back. This was a pretty traumatizing, situation, area. And then, my mom prayed about it, called me back a few days later, and she's like, you're gonna go back there and change the narrative of the story that was written about you. She was like, I never taught you to run away from your problems. We will always leave a place better than you found it, better than it was when you got there. And when my mom told me that, it was just like, I know exactly what to do.
One thing I'm really big on with the guys is just perspective, getting out of the here and now and looking down the road. And I think that it's something that's probably where Brett's grown the most. Seeing this life thing as there's going to be next year, there's going to be 5 years down the road, there's going to be 25 years down the road.
I'm blessed to get the opportunity to come back here. There was other schools, other options, but I don't think any of it would have been as meaningful. I think that when you really put yourself in position to capitalize on opportunities that you're given, some really cool things can happen. There was a lot of pressure that came with coming back here. This was pretty stressful from the jump, but this was the best opportunity to make a difference.
I think the thing that's the biggest characteristics, the biggest traits that stand out to me about Brett is he is extremely thoughtful. He really is a caring individual, and that might be some irony saying that about somebody who stabbed somebody and nearly took somebody else's life. I mean, that's not lost on me, but I do think it's a testament to the ability to reform and the ability to change and grow and be better.
In fact, Hollins sees the growth he's experienced since being sent to prison as so important that he wouldn't go back and change the night of the fight, even if he could.
The circumstances where that came from that night, it really did put me in a place where I was forced to develop my character into just the type of man that I want to be, the type of man that my mom will want me to be, the type of man that my dad, rest in peace, will want me to be. It gave me a sense of purpose. It put me in a position to where I could impact and influence people's lives around me based off of my own mistakes. And so I'm sorry that it happened, but I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to grow from it and learn from it and completely change the direction that my life was heading into.
Brett had said that he always rooted for Oregon State because he'd written a ton of letters to people. And one of the people that got back to him was Coach Tinkle. And it obviously, meant a lot to Brett. And I just happened to be playing golf with Coach.
I'm playing a round of golf with Coach Zoes, and he tells me, that he's on his roster. And I said, oh man, I'm so glad to hear he found a place to land and to further his education and his basketball, goals.
And so we kind of talked about scheduling and if we had a slot and they had a slot. We ended up going and playing, and Coach Tinkle was extremely gracious with Brett, and the experience was, pretty cool.
When Coach Tinkle, walked in the gym, I was sitting on the bench next to my coach, and he just came straight up to me and just hugged me, and just like, have fun today. And it was such a great moment.
That's pretty powerful. I mean, to have somebody that's in that situation, looking for motivation, looking for a reason to rehabilitate, or just to wake up that morning, it inspired me to write him back and kind of give him a, hang in there, man, keep working. You'll have somebody here in Corvallis pulling for you. To think of it like from the start to what it led to is really pretty neat. Credit to him, because we all know the stories of people that go through something like that and don't find the inspiration and continue with that tough path and the struggle. He said to both of us, he chose to stay there because he didn't want to leave the situation in a worse place than when he had arrived, and that says a lot about him.
Being here at Southern Oregon University has been nothing short of a blessing. During this time that I've been here, I've gotten to meet great people, great teammates, great members of the community, a lot of people that have looked at me and not judged me for what I've been through, but judged me for the way that I carry myself now. It's made this process a lot easier, because it's challenging, and it's really hard for a lot of people to come home from being incarcerated and to try to fit back into the community that you were once, a detriment to. For me to come here and to be embraced, I get to play basketball, on this court. At my age, some days feel better than others, but like mentally, all I feel is gratitude to get to show my passion for the game that really helped carry me through that time in prison. It's nothing short of a blessing.
I know it's stressing him out. When you have that finality of a senior, those 3 weeks are a lot shorter than that whole year behind it. You're stepping out of college, okay, I'm a grown up. And I think with Brett, he's has some talent. There's a lot of different places he can go. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what he decides on and what he nails down.
Adversity makes weak people weaker and strong people stronger. And that's just a perspective thing, How do you deal with things when they go wrong? Because inevitably they will, hopefully not to the drastic circumstances that, I kind of put myself in. But you never know the way that life is going to turn, the direction that it's going to go to. And if you could find a way to use it to develop your own character, then you can see some amazing things come out of terrible situations. And so honestly, that's probably the biggest thing that I want people to get, is just that you can take any situation and use it to grow you and develop you. So it's probably the biggest thing for me.